His name, Gaston de Wouwer, uit de Haan aan Zee, the undisputed champion of the last few years. This is the story of the foreman who chased success with giant steps. But this national one-man show came too early. He would rather have enlarged his stock first, but in pigeon flying, one can't order success appropriately. At this highlight in a pigeon flying career, it is most suitable to look back on 35 years successful pigeon fancying. In the company of a good glass of beer and of their friend Roger van Dijke, the De Wouwers looked at a few old photographs, testimonies of highlights in the life of a pigeon fancier's family during their western Flemish wanderings. Danny, now father's right hand, but at that time only about 10 years old, but already possessed by pigeons. Motta de Wouwer shared the joys and sorrows with her pigeon fanciers and is still the driving force behind this high competition sport. In 1956, short after his wedding, Gaston de Wouwer started pigeon fancying behind his house in Bruaene. His first loft only contained 12 pigeons, but very soon this increased. In the beginning, he took part in speed races, but after a few years, he changed to medium distance. Norbert Norman recognized the capacities of Gaston de Wouwer as a talented fancier and persuaded him to take charge of Mas Palomas. It was there that de Wouwer got fascinated by the long-distance competition. Under the name de Smet de Wouwer, a lot of prizes were won. In 1975, the final change took place after the pigeons had been auctioned. These pigeons were responsible for Mr. de Wouwer's fame in the early 70s. It wouldn't be the last time. When Gaston built his house in the Haan from 1978 until 1982, a roomy loft was anticipated. And it was clear that long-distance races wouldn't be at stake. Behind the beautiful villa, the breeding pigeons were housed in a beautiful breeding loft and a matching aviary. Also, the widow hens received a suitable housing. When examining Gaston de Wouwer's skills, it becomes obvious that his strength lies in his hunger for perfection. This obsession is revealed in every stage of his fancying, and it is the key to one of the most remarkable successes in Belgian pigeon fancying. Perfect hygiene, also in the breeding loft, is essential. The floor grills form the first barrier against coccidiosis and worm infections. Large, airy and clean lofts for the sometimes ill-treated widow hens. A draft-proof ventilation system provides unrestricted supply of oxygen. The widower's loft is situated under the roof. A beautiful weathercock indicates the north to the long-distance athletes, although this wasn't absolutely necessary in 1989. Also here, ventilation plays an important role, and a lot of attic windows provide free access to air and sunlight. The rich experience gathered by Gaston de Wouwer on his wanderings are melted together in this perfect loft, perfect both for the fancier and pigeon. These perfect lofts contain a rich stock that made 1989 into an unforgettable year. During our visit, the widowers were hatching a second clutch. This was the moment to shoot some idyllic pictures. Also, the racing pigeons need good ventilation, adaptable to the weather conditions. The De Wouwer colony headquarters not only provide a magnificent view, but also enable Gaston to observe his ace's homecoming. Gaston can't be taken by surprise. When the fancier is not on standby, an alarm bell indicates the first long-distance racer arriving. Until recent years, young pigeons were Gaston de Wouwer's most powerful weapon. In 1986, Argenton formed the battlefield for the junior team. Out of 15,003 younglings, he conquered first, 13 and 14 national prizes. In later years, more emphasis is placed on racing with older pigeons and on the national long-distance competition. A few young hens have to provide the necessary championships marks, although son Danny is a fan of young pigeon racing. These little champions make up for 19% of the normal stock. When he left Maspalomas, Gaston received, as a goodbye present from his employer, a basket filled with eggs. This crossbreeding material came from Benoit van Driessen, Roger van Dijke, Lissewege, Herman van Damme, Oostkamp, and Georges Bolle, Kortemark. Interbreed also took place with the late André Pintelon, Houtave, and Noël Perren, Zedelgem. Mostly young females will be entered for the national events. Young males are spared for the future. During their birth year, 3 times 300 kilometers will do largely for a promising junior. Younglings that are basketed weekly are not likely to perform from Cahors or Barcelona. Gaston de Wouwer managed to become all-round champion as well as long-distance champion with only 9 pigeons, 7 old and 2 young ones. Wouter was the ace of the 1989 season. It gained his championship mark on Brive, but surpassed this by its victory in the Dax provincial race. Domine is from '84 and was the first registered from Brive. It's a real ace, and in 1990 it can demonstrate its capabilities in the breeding loft. Victor is also from '84 and was second registered from Cahors. It's a pigeon with a bright eye and an energetic head. This long-distance racer provides a lot of pleasure to the fancier. Benjamin is from '85 and provided his share as first registered on Barcelona. Nick is from 86 and doubtlessly the best pigeon of the Devoogd stock. He was the first registered on Cahors and Narbonne and second registered on Montauban. He's the offspring of two pure Norman pigeons. It's a twister, and according to Peter Weir, this is a sign of quality. Motta, also from 86 and Nick's equal. It was registered first on Montauban and second on Narbonne and gained the same amount of first prizes. It also sprang from two Normans and is the favorite of Gaston de Wouwer. Nick and Motta were placed in the breeding loft in 1990. And last but not least, the Kleinen. It was the second registered on Barcelona. It is from 86, has a beautiful head and a sparkling eye, a real winner. Gaston de Wouwer has built up a varied fancying career. The success and the glamour since 1982 haven't changed him, and he remained the quiet man he's always been. And this honors Champion de Wouwer. As a souvenir, he treasures his first certificate, mentioning two prizes of honor on Arras in 1956. His living room is decorated with the Belgian tricolour of all-round national champion and of long-distance champion. They are the visible evidence of an incomparable achievement. Together with a long line of trophies, they clearly state out that Gaston de Wouwer is the Belgian #1 of the late 80s. Pigeon fancying in family context on high level is the slogan in this coastal village. An inventive German friend sent the champion pigeons of the Devoogd stock in living room size as a New Year's present. The great ball of fire so often described in pigeon epics was already setting into the sea when we left his Flemish champion. A little bit of romanticism mixed with a lot of pigeon passion. Or is Gaston de Wouwer building a pigeon empire where the sun never sets?
Bruaene州オーバーヘスペンにあるエミール・マテルヌ厩舎。この豪華な邸宅の2階はすべて鳩小屋である。マテルヌ家は親子2代の鳩飼いで、父親も息子も高校の教師である。息子のエミール・マテルヌさんは長距離レース鳩の飼育を得意とする。裏庭に雨ざらし、風ざらしの鳩小屋があった。常識を破った実験的な飼育方法である。志高い目標を持ち、常にベストを尽くしてこの目標へ立ち向かうことが大切である。エミール・マテル。ベルギー西フランドル地方ラウアのファンブリアーナ厩舎。アンドレ・ファンブリアーナさんはもう50年の経験を持つ鳩飼いの主である。ヨーロッパの大国際レースで幾度も優勝している。職業はヨーロッパ伝統の家具製造販売業。 1、2階がその売り場で3階からが鳩小屋になる。長年の栄光の歴史を残す賞状が屋根裏に貼られている。絶対的なスピード性、これが私の、そしてベルギーのレースバトの命なのだと70歳のファンブリアーナさんは断言する。情熱的な鳩主で、ラウアの町の人々はこの人をラウアの獅子とあだ名する。毎日できるだけ朝早く厩舎に上がり、できるだけ自分で手をかけて鳩の状態をよく観察する。ただ見るのではなく、飽きるまで自分の鳩を見つめることが大切だ。それは決して無駄なことではない。良い鳩を育てるためには努力を持続させなければならない。気ままな世話ではとても無理。毎日毎日鳩小屋へ上がって鳩を自分の手でしっかりと掴んでみることである。アンドレ・ファンブリアーナ。ファンブリアーナ厩舎と同じ西フランドル地方のロジェ・フェレーケ厩舎。正面の納屋が全て鳩小屋、さらに裏庭にもいくつかの鳩小屋が散在する。フェレーケ家は石炭販売を家業としている。フェレーケ厩舎の鳩は現在ベルギー最強と言われる。ベルギーで最強なら世界最強と言っても過言ではない。毎年7月に行われる世界最大の国際レースバルセロナ大会でフェレーケ厩舎は総合優勝を遂げたことがある。このフェレーケ厩舎を作り上げたのが初代ジェローム・フェレーケ85歳で今も健在である。2代目ロジェ・フェレーケが父の偉業を継ぎ、その名誉を恥ずかしめないほどの成績を残している。ヨーロッパ特有の飼育法 W システムをフェレーケ厩舎も実施する。夫婦の鳩をレースが近づくと別居させる。オスだけレースに参加させてメスへの愛のためにスピードを速めて帰還するようにするのである。優れた鳩主であるためには鋭い目を持ち、細心の注意を払う精神が必要である。ロジェ・フェレーケ。オランダのフィッシャース厩舎。この鳩主も2代目である。この厩舎の種鳩、つまり良い血統を作るための鳩は安くても1羽50万すると言われる。フィッシャース一家はこのオランダのリンブルグ州ベークの町で親子兄弟皆優秀な伝書鳩を飼育している。クレチアン・フィッシャースさんは62歳、ジャム工場の経営者である。経営者として鳩レースに学ぶことが多い。何よりも忍耐、それが大切であることを教えられる。クレチアン・フィッシャース。西ドイツケルン郊外の町オイスキルヘンのウェルテル厩舎。屋根裏部屋が鳩小屋になっている。この厩舎はベルギー系の鳩を輸入、それを飼育しヨーロッパの国際レースに参加させている。3代にわたっているこのウェルテル厩舎の今を継いでいるのはヨハン・ウェルテルさん71歳。今は引退しているがかつてこの町の名裁縫師であった。鳩を呼ぶには鳩主特有の口笛がある。ウェルテルさんの口笛には特に個性があり、鳩への愛情を感じさせる。3代続いたこのウェルテル厩舎の跡継ぎはいない。それが年老いたウェルテルさんの悩みである。いつも人に言う言葉がある。何事にも時間をかけること、それが基本だ。ヨハン・ウェルテル。この5人の鳩主が 日本との国際親善ピジョンレースに参加した。およそ 300km の
Vanhee, an established name in pigeon flying, a concept in modern pigeon fancying. Vanhee products, a wide range of products based upon more than 50 years of experience in pigeon flying, a flourishing business under the supervision of Michel Vanhee. The children Vanhee follow the footsteps of their father and grandfather. Pigeons and pigeon flying dominate our youth. Very early, they adopt the commercial spirit, and even the computer keyboard holds no secrets for them. The Vanhee dynasty has known the taste of success for a very long time, and the evidence of so much skill decorates Michel Vanhee's office. The Church of Wervik has already known a lot of famous sons, but the Vanhee family gathered world fame. Gerard Vanhee was a farmer, blessed with a lot of common sense, and this turned him into one of the most renowned specialists in pigeon flying. Gerard, what's your age? 80 and something? Something. Since July. Well conserved, aren't you? I suppose so. Can you describe your career from the beginning? How was it all in the beginning? A lot easier than today. everybody was poor and didn't have the money to buy pigeons. Now everybody has got good pigeons. Now it's more difficult. How did you get your first pigeons? My godfather, my father's brother gave them to me. One of them had flown a first prize but didn't do well anymore over there. Neither did it here. And then all these people who came over to buy milk. I played them for 1 or 2 years and my mother asked me whether that was the good way to take part in pigeon flying. I said, no, this isn't the way, always handing in your money and never getting it back. My mother asked me what would be necessary then. I told her that the thing was to buy good pigeons. I'll give you the money and you go and buy a good one, she said. I told her that it didn't work out like that. You first have to find out where they have got good pigeons and if they are for sale. These historical words were the start for the Vanhee stock that would so often astonish the pigeon world for the next 60 years. In 1946, right after the Second World War, Gerard Vanhee roamed the country in search of eggs and chicks of pre-war glories. On his trips in his old jeep, he gathered a treasure of long-distance pigeons that would not only lead the Vanhee stock to glory, but other lofts as well. At Michel Gaston van Hasten, he purchased a whole breed of mainly young stichelbout pigeons. Out of them, he selected 7 valuable stock breeders that would produce the atom species. From Baker van der Espt, brother of the more known Charles van der Espt, he also bought high-quality pigeons. The Motta line is rooted in these van der Espt pigeons. The small-scale fancier Frans Collier provided the foundations for the Monsieur line. Further on, Hector de Boux, Janssen brothers, and a few others supplied the breeding material that would lead the Vanhee stock to unknown heights. Filling the breeding loft with top-quality pigeons has always been the Vanhee rule. What's the secret of Gerard Vanhee? Nobody knows, not Gerard Vanhee nor anybody else. Nobody knows the secrets of pigeon fancying, and who claims that he knows can come and meet me. I will tell him it isn't true. What's the reason you performed so well for the last 40 or 50 years then? And won 20 first national prizes. I went to school. Now you're kidding, aren't you? No, the Gemep school. 12 books. They tell everything they did with pigeons in those days. I selected the best out of them and used it to carry on. It's a fairy tale that the long-distance player doesn't train his pigeons. A few years ago, Gerard and Michel Vanhee built a brand new loft where young cocks are played on the widowhood principle. When the males themselves have got 14-day-old chicks in their nest, then time has come for actual widowhood. Gerard Vanhee is convinced that young cocks can only be successful on widowhood when they have raised a hatch of their own. Family life is a must for a young pigeon before starting on widowhood. Neither money nor time has been spared to construct an excellent loft for the junior league. In the boxes, the cocks are sitting on a floor made of wire mesh, under which a conveyor belt takes care of the dung removal by simply pushing the button. Floor hygiene is guaranteed by gratings. A healthy and clean environment is the first stipulation for the pigeon's growing physical condition. And this physical condition was abundant when the young males started out for their second training flight of the day. Michel and Geert watched with satisfaction how they climbed into the typical Flemish skies. They were steaming with vitality, and it looked as if they were going to explode on one of the next races. But you can't take anything for granted in pigeon flying. Good performances are the result of good treatment. VanBruaene 7000 contains 100% dextrose and vitamin C. It's immediately absorbed by the organism and guarantees a fast recuperation. Wheat germ oil, maize germ oil and garlic juice are also indispensable on a healthy loft. It arms the pigeons against the exhaustion by consecutive races. It regulates the intestine flora after coccidiosis and worm treatment. It's an ideal preparation for the breeding. Stress, the overloaded competition schedule, long stayings in the baskets and a lot of other causes are due that wheat and water aren't sufficient anymore against fatigue. Even the most obstinate supporters will have to admit that this theory is outstripped in modern pigeon flying. If a pigeon wants to conquer all these obstacles successfully, it can certainly make use of 100% natural support. Let's accept for once and for all that only a healthy pigeon is a winner. Bath salts 6500 is a benefit for every racer pigeon. It is guaranteed safe and has got a gratifying influence on the skin and the organism. It provides soft and shiny feathers. It kills parasites and lice. It relaxes the muscles. Vitamins and minerals take an important role in the Vanhee products because they are indispensable for flying and breeding pigeons. But why this wide range of products? Variation in vitamins is necessary because the organism easily gets used to only one product, is the answer of Gerard Vanhee. The one entering here with bad intentions must beware. Max isn't hiding his intentions. The breeding lofts of Gerard and Michel Vanhee are a real Eldorado for the fancier as well as for the pigeon. As a matter of fact, they are a combination of a classical breeding loft and a fine aviary. During winter, it is possible to separate the actual breeding loft from the aviary by means of folding doors. In summer, the breeders can easily take in oxygen in these spacious aviaries. When the weather is cold and windy, a roller blind can be lowered to expel draft and chilliness. But to keep the breeders in top shape, it is best to bring a little piece of field into the loft. This is done by Vanhee with the Pigeon 7500. Also, VanBruaene 8000A is indispensable in every breeding loft. VanBruaene 8000A is a mixture of minerals in powder form enriched with vitamins. Also, the granular beer yeast 9000A is rich in vitamins and contains high-quality proteins in natural form. Pigeon 7500 and 7500A both contain a carefully selected mixture of minerals indispensable for penned-up birds. They contain spore elements vital to the pigeon's development and well-being. The animals take in as much as they need. As soon as they know Gaston 7500, pigeons don't fly out into the field anymore. There's no doubt about it that Gaston 7500 and VanBruaene 8000A are a real treat for our winged friends. And if you were a pigeon, where would you like to build your nest? In a Vanhee nest bowl, of course. It has got the ideal shape, it is solid and reusable. The chicks have a firm grip on the adapted bottom. The Vanhee family can look back on a glorious career with a lot of national successes, and moreover, their colony keeps on being quite up to date. The 80s were extremely prosperous, with the national victory on Saint-Vincent in 1982, first international Lourdes 1983, overall Belgian champion 1985, national long-distance champion 1986, first national La Souterraine 1988. Now we present to you today's ruling champions. This is the first national Lourdes 1983 with 1 hour lead. White toenails are a quality mark, just as a white beak, so says Gerard Vanhee. And who can know better than this grandmaster? It certainly is characteristic for a quality stock. This is Spotted Patrick, pure, second National Limoges 1986.
Achteraf, hè? Met een dubbele zon. Kijk, weet je of ze hebben.
This is Patrick Jr., second National Montauban.
Dat is de Scouter Lucci, hè? Een kandidaat als duifsport voor de Olympische.
This is the Spotted Lucy, a candidate for the sports category in the Italian Olympics. He won 7 prizes within 10 first best. So he's won the 24th National Limoges as yearling, and in this year he also got the 48th National Cahors and was in the lead from Perpignan as well. It's one of our best at the moment. It's a grandson of Lourdes. Even aces can use some support to cope with the murderous competition schedule. Victory Pills 3000 and 3000 Plus provide the necessary vitamins for the racing pigeon. They bring the birds into top shape and lead them to victory. This is Bambino 1. He flew 4 or 5 times in the 21st best from Narbonne and Perpignan. He's one of the best racers we've ever had. This is Domingo, the first national La Souterraine. With this widow aloft, Gerard and Michel Vanhee obtained never-equaled results. Their glory and success surpassed the national frontiers and gave them international recognition. 20 national victories turned them into real world champions. Between 1959 and 1982, they gathered 336 prizes of honor, or a total of more than 21,000 prizes. A list of performances that makes you think. Gerard Vanhee was a dedicated man in all his deeds. Moreover, he never stopped looking for the almost unreachable, the breeding of the absolute champion. He often failed, these are his own words, but thanks to his skills, he was often successful. And the fact that he succeeded more than his competitors makes him superior, now and before. Michel Vanhee receives a beautiful heritage, including the owner's manual. He was taught by his father and has already proved to be a real Vanhee, a pigeon connoisseur, a top fancier.